Sunny. This is the CAClive radio show on CAClive.com. Today's Thursday, September 6th, and I am Dan Bush, Professor of Recording Engineering at Central Arizona College. We're here with Joe Carreiro. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Pleasure to be back here as usual, and we're here with a very special guest today. And usually when people hear the term lawyer, they cringe. They kind of say, oh, they're all snakes, and law is boring, and I don't want to learn about case law, blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you what, probably the most entertaining law practice, I would say, would be entertainment law, pun intended there, because it's so intricate, and it's always a changing landscape. And as the music industry changes over the decades, so do the laws that pertain to it. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome our special guest, Stephen Nebgim. He is an entertainment law attorney. Hi, Stephen.
Hi.
I'm happy to have you here today.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Well,
This is quite a place.
It is. It is the ultimate man cave in here.
I love it.
So we've got a lot to talk about today, so I don't want to waste much time. I'm going to get right into it. So you are a adjunct instructor, a professor at Central Arizona College, teaching entertainment law, and I want to talk a little bit about that. But first, I want to get your background. What is your history? What experience do you have in the entertainment industry? And if you could talk a little bit about that, I'm sure people out there would want to know where you come from.
Right. Well, I was born in a log cabin. No.
Weren't we all?
Yeah. That I built myself. Anyway, no, I started, well, I had a entertainment bent or a creative bent ever since I was a kid, started writing, started producing shows right out of high school, and moved to New York, was here in Phoenix, moved to New York, and worked in New York for 20 years on Broadway, off-Broadway. One of my claims to fame is that I gave Jack Black his New York theatrical debut.
Wow.
In a play called
That's pretty cool there.
Yeah. Bert Sees the Light, and I still know Jack, or, still in touch with Jack all the time and everything. And he's much different in real life than he is on screen. Anyway.
Not as loony?
No, he's not. He's kind of that classic kind of quiet guy off screen and then gets nuts, on screen. And produced and then met my wife, and show business is all well and good and all that kind of stuff, but she goes, steady, honey, I want a steady paycheck. Mm-hmm. And well, she talked the talk and walked the walk, so I went back to school and got my undergraduate degree, and then went down to Texas, got my law degree, and then moved back to Arizona. Unfortunately, my wife passed away, and we moved back to Arizona. And then, just been practicing law, also have a small little production company, and then teach.
So when you were in New York, you produced Broadway and off-Broadway productions. Mm-hmm. What were some of those productions?
Well, off-Broadway, I was the lead producer for the 20th anniversary revival of a very prominent play called Fortune and Men's Eyes. It was first produced in 1969, and then I did the 1989 production. In 1969, a gentleman named David Rothenberger produced it, and as a result of that, a very influential, the play deals with boys in a reformatory, in a prison type of setting, and how brutalizing and destructive the prison experience is. And a bunch of ex-cons started coming to see the play. And afterwards, they would hang out and start to talk about their experiences. And this was in 1969 and 1970. As a result of those meetings, a organization was created called the Fortune Society, and that helps ex-cons get reacclimated to, civilian society, so to speak.
Okay.
So very, very prominent play. And I produced the 20th anniversary revival, and actually we gave David an award that night and everything. And then I produced Bert Sees the Light, which featured Jack Black in his theatrical debut. And then on Broadway, I've been on the production staff and management staff of plays such as Lettuce and Lovage, which starred Dame Maggie Smith, and Margaret Tyzak, and won the Tony. And
you've done Cats, too, haven't you?
Worked on Cats. Mm-hmm. I've worked on a bunch of Andrew Lloyd Webber's productions, from Cats through Aspects of Love, with the exception of Phantom. Phantom was done by another general management office. And, so those are a variety of different shows that I've worked on.
So with that background, the theatrical background, why the change? Why the shift to law? What got you interested in entertainment law?
Well, the biggest thing was my wife. She said, hey, you're going to have to go get a real job because, everybody knows in show business you make a big...
That's a scary thought, isn't it? Getting a real job?
Getting a real job? What does that mean, honey?
Well, in the biz, you go from project to project. It's not like you show up for work every day doing the same thing. It's project to project. A lot of people don't understand that. I work at a label, so I'm going to have a 9 to 5. No, it's job. It's project to project.
Right.
So, yeah.
And just you'll work 80-hour weeks for 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever, and then you sit around.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that was one of the main things is my wife wanted me to have a more steady source of income. And we had a large circle of friends that were attorneys, and so then the plan always was go back, get your undergraduate, get your law degree. And then also for me it was obvious that I was going to do entertainment law because that was an extension of my prior experience.
Sure. Interesting. So you, as an attorney, you've been involved and been called as an expert witness in various entertainment litigation matters. To the extent that you're able to, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I can't name names and all that kind of stuff, but one matter that I was called as an expert witness was to talk about damages and various loss of profits and things like that regarding a breach of a recording agreement.
Okay.
And another matter that I was called on was there is a big controversy, not so much controversy, but there's a major issue that is, there's 2 or 3 major issues, but one that I was called on was to talk about the difference between a sale and a license of a download. And that has a huge ramification to record companies right now.
Right. And we're going to get into that in a little bit here. We've got those 3 big topics that I think a lot of people are going to be interested in. So, and why don't you talk a little bit about Showbiz Arizona and how that got started and what that's all about, just so people who aren't familiar can tune into that and can find out more about what you're doing with that project.
Right. Well, showbizaz.net. We will generate a special every now and then, but primarily we'll do segments on, I don't want to term it the underground, but the unknown, the up and coming. For example, Dodge Theater can take care of itself in promoting what's going on, but we'll focus on a smaller club. Or if Sting comes to town, everybody's going to interview him, but we'll look at some of the lower acts on that bill.
So if there are artists or venues that want to get exposure on Showbiz AZ, is that something they can contact you with, and do they need to have a press kit, or how can they get their foot in the door to contact you with that information?
Yeah, all of the above. The website, www.showbizaz.net.
Okay.
And then the phone number, 480-463-3055. If you've got material, send it. We don't charge. We love getting the word out about, again, things that are a little bit under the radar.
So unsolicited is welcome.
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. That's rarity. It's a rarity these days. So let's get into a little bit about the legal aspects here, and I know people sometimes cringe, but there's nothing intimidating about this because it all makes sense when you break it down. And one of the things that people need to understand is that if you are getting involved in any capacity within the entertainment industry, whether your focus is going to be on film, music, theater, there are a lot of mistakes that people can make right off the bat that they don't realize, even when they're just, they form a garage band and they're starting to write songs and they're sending them out to radio stations. If they don't have band agreements in place and they don't delineate who owns what portion of what intellectual property, they're already making mistakes. And a lot of people don't do that legwork before they start sending out their demos all over the world. or even in their own city. And, the second that song is played on a radio and a royalty check comes in, albeit 6 cents or whatever, how does that money get divided? Who is entitled to it? And these are the types of issues that entertainment lawyers have to deal with and advise clients on. But what is an important why is it important to get an attorney who specializes in the entertainment industry as opposed to one who just understands precedent and case law? Could you talk a little bit about why that's important?
Yeah, great question, Dan. Excuse me. It's a little bit of a fine point, but the way that I try to put it is that, first, there is no other type of attorney needs to know their industry more clearly, more completely than an entertainment law attorney. It really becomes the fact that you know the industry. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, we all attorneys get trained in case law, precedent, how to form a contract, so on and so forth. So then the real value added by an entertainment law attorney is their understanding of the entertainment industry. And that's what I believe is one of my particular strengths. That's what my real added value that I bring as an attorney is. I've been in show business for going on 40 years. Mm-hmm. I've produced, I've written, I've directed, a variety of genres, theater, film, music, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So I have direct experience of what the industry is, and then I can bring the legal experience. And you'll see that, or more correct maybe, is that you need to look for that when you're looking for an entertainment law attorney, because there's a lot of people that do what I call an alphabet listing. And they'll literally just start with A, antitrust. Oh, yeah, I do antitrust. B, bankruptcy. Yeah, I do bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. C, yeah, I do contracts. E, entertainment law. Oh, yeah, I do entertainment law. And they've negotiated a license for the high school to do Romeo. Well, you don't have to get a license. Well, actually, you do, because you still have to buy the books from Samuel French in the sense of buying the actual,
Yeah.
Okay, boom. Hey, I'm in show business.
Yeah.
No, it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Right.
So just to, really make clear, the big thing about an entertainment law attorney, make sure that that's what that person does. Mm-hmm. It's not, again, lumped with a bunch of different things, or all of a sudden you see that this person does plaintiff work, insurance, and then all of a sudden entertainment?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, because the landscape is constantly changing in the entertainment business, and record companies and publishers and producers are always finding new intricate loopholes or ways that they can or should, as they feel, be making more money. And that, because of that changing landscape, you almost have to always be on top of those recent changes. And sometimes precedent isn't enough, because sometimes, because the landscape is changing, there are new cases out there that are defining that landscape. And unless the entertainment law attorney is on top of that, they're really kind of behind the eight ball. And it can make a big difference in the outcome of a case.
Yeah, big time, because not so much a case, but in the sense of right now negotiating a contract.
Right.
If you're not aware of a couple new things that are going on in the entertainment, or particularly in the music industry, you can inadvertently give away millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So
do we have a caller, Joe?
We do. We had Mel from Tulsa, Oklahoma call in and want to know.
Hi, Mel.
Hey, Mel.
Thanks for listening.
How does an artist contact you for an interview and to find out more about your services? And do you take care of other states?
Yes. Great question, Mel. Mel it was, I believe.
Yes.
Tulsa.
First, you can contact me at www.azentertainmentlaw.com. So www.azentertainmentlaw.com. And then my phone number and email and everything is on there. Regarding the question of can I provide legal services for people outside the state of Arizona, The answer is yes, with some qualifications. Now, first of all, I'm licensed in New York, New Jersey, and Arizona. Second of all, as long as it's transactional work, an attorney can basically provide contract services and review agreements and things like that in any jurisdiction. Where the rubber really meets the road is if, for example, if I had drafted an agreement for Mel and it went to court in Oklahoma, I could not represent him in court because I would not be licensed in Oklahoma. Now, however, and this is the great thing about the law, you play the tennis game. I can ask for pro hoc vice for this matter only and get to represent him in Oklahoma. So, there you have it.
So you need to find an attorney who knows this stuff because
Correct.
This can make a very big difference in the outcome or even moving forward with a case like this. For those of you just tuning in, this is the CAClive radio show on CAClive.com. We're here with special guest Stephen Nebgim, the entertainment law attorney from Arizona here. I'm here with Joe Carreiro, and I'm Dan Bush. I'm guest hosting for Tom DiCamillo. He is out of state today. And in discussing legal matters regarding the music industry, and this extends beyond just music, theater and film, we throw this term IP or intellectual property around.
Let me just jump in really quick here. Do we want to take calls during the show? Because the only people that are seeing the numbers up on, is it even up on the screen? So they had to jump on the website and look around to find it.
Okay.
So
yeah, we'll take.
All right. So
calls are
if
great.
you guys want to take, if you want to call in, ask some questions, comments, and whatnot. 480-745-1033, and you can jump on our interactive chat and ask your questions up there. And that is, you have to be watching. Actually, you don't have to be watching the live now. We have a special button that says live chat. So if you just want to jump on that and ask questions there, you can do so as well.
And we'd love to hear from you. It looks like the phone's already ringing. So keep those good questions coming. We'll be happy to get to as many of them as possible during this short hour. But back to intellectual property. Can you define what intellectual property is for people who don't know? And then when we talk about intellectual property, we can't talk about that without mentioning the word copyright and trademark. And can you just kind of give people a very brief overview of what that all means when it comes down to ownership of a song, of a film, of a theatrical performance, and that sort of thing?
Right. All right. Well, first of all, my little prefacerial wrap is that the law recognizes three kinds of property: real property, dirt, buildings; personal property, your car, your computer; intellectual property, the value of your ideas. Now, I can see dirt, I can touch it, I can see and touch my car. Whoops, my ideas, I can't see and touch those. So you have to get them into a tangible medium of expression. Those are the magic words.
Okay.
Got to get it into something that I can see, touch, here. Okay? Now, in intellectual property itself, there are three things covered. And the key to intellectual property is that it covers the way that you express yourself creatively. Now, creatively is not a synonym in this particular regard for artistic, and I'll show you in a minute why.
Okay.
First, you can express yourself creatively in the mechanical realm, and that's patents. And so, obviously, Edison, and he's got 1 million patents, and he was very creative in creating the phone and the light bulb and so on and so forth, okay? Now, another way that you can be creative is the way that you express yourself in commerce. Okay? That's trademark. That is to protect your brand and your slogan and your logo.
Okay.
Okay? And then you can be creative artistically, okay? Educationally, scholarly. That's all copyright.
Okay.
That covers your script. So, Raiders of the Lost Ark, they copyright the script, they trademark that distinctive Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then those two overlap, and that piece of property is protected in the marketplace.
Okay. So we have another question?
Russ from Manitoba.
Manitoba.
He says, I have been an extra here in Manitoba, but moving to L.A., I need representation. Is this something you do? He says, I'm going to make it. Been in 8 movies so far as an extra or very small parts.
Well, that actually brings up a good point, which is that when I tell people who are entering the entertainment business, first of all, you're developing a career just like you are anything. Mm-hmm. You want a career in a baseball player. You want a career as a computer engineer, whatever. It's a career. Take it with that same level of seriousness, by the way. It's not a lark. But bigger point, with a career, you are going to have a bowl of fruit. And that career is like a bowl of fruit. And you need 4 people to help you fill it up and manage it. Mm-hmm. You're going to need an agent, his job, her job, go get the fruit.
Okay.
Get me a recording agreement. Get me a gig in a movie. Get me a gig performing live, whatever. That's my agent. Go get me a book deal. Go get me a TV series. Okay? Second person, personal manager. Number 1 of personal manager takes care of your day-to-day stuff. Because what's the point? Artist, you should be creating.
Right.
Not running down to the laundry store and not running down to the grocery store.
Right.
Number 2, personal manager helps guide your career and helps you decide what fruit to take.
Yeah.
Okay. Third guy, entertainment law attorney. I protect all your rights in the fruit. Mm-hmm. And then business manager, he accounts for all the fruit. So, if you're going to LA with that structure in mind, I'm not really your agent. I would be your legal representative. And then now in LA, though, you're going to really want somebody who has an office in LA, and I am associated with 2 or 3 attorneys, and I would refer you to them. Mm-hmm. And then they would be your entertainment law counsel, but you would still need to help form that team and and it's a team effort. I mean, again, many people come to me, hey, if I retain you, well, I'm off to the races.
Right.
No, it's a team effort. You're going to bring as much to this as I am. Mm-hmm. So back to LA, if you go to LA, you really should look to build that team with an LA, centric focus.
Sure. That's a very good question. Thanks for listening. Keep those questions coming in because this hour is going to fly by. So if you don't call now, you might not make it in. And it's not every day we have an entertainment attorney on hand, entertainment law attorney to answer questions like this. So we have another question, Joe?
We do. We have Christina from Fort Worth.
Texas.
Yeah.
Hook 'em horns. I'm a Longhorn. That's awesome.
She says, I'm a former adult entertainment actress. I'm starting in a B-horror film in Denver. Would you be able to negotiate for me? I'm not taken very seriously.
Yes. And I've represented people in the adult industry, and I understand,
the ins and outs.
Well, no pun intended. But the time, the difficulty in transitioning into a more mainstream career. And yes, but I could absolutely talk to you about that.
And give out your contact information one more time, would you?
Yeah. The best is just go to the website.
Perfect.
www.azentertainmentlaw, all one word, a little bit of a mouthful, but all one word, www.azentertainmentlaw.com.
Now, I want to jump in here and say these are a lot of good questions coming in. The phone's ringing off the hook here. For people here in Arizona, particularly in Pinal County and surrounding areas, you teach a class on all of this. It's a semester-long class, and as part of the Central Arizona College Entertainment Industry Technology Program, you teach a class called Entertainment Law, and you cover all of this in this class. And so I want to encourage people who do have these questions and who are thinking about, in the future, going into the entertainment business, getting careers in movies and music and theater. You really need to arm yourself with this knowledge. You don't have to know case law. You don't have to read all of the law books on the matters. But knowing what to expect and how to best prepare yourself so that you don't make common mistakes is crucial. And Stephen teaches entertainment law. It's at Central Arizona College. It's part of the EIT program. And I encourage you to give us a call. We're at www.centralaz.com. caclive.edu/EIT. And you can learn all about the entertainment industry program, and you can get a degree in one of 4 tracks. You have the recording engineering track, the live lighting and sound track. You have artist and venue management, and you have popular music performance. And you can basically take courses that focus in those 4 degree programs and basically begin your career at Central Arizona College with the EIT program. And Stephen, and we're going to talk a little bit more about your class here in a minute, but I think a lot of people don't realize what to expect when they take the class, and that's something I want to kind of put their fears at rest today. And also, and we'll talk about this in a moment too, you offer a very unique incentive for students to take your class, and I think we're going to cover that in a second. But we have another call, Joe. Another question?
Yeah, and I was reading the blog up there, too. Let's see. That was Mary Lynn out of Phoenix. Can you help get people connected into commercials or films, then manage them? I'm a model, and I have been featured on 3 covers and 7 center features in national magazines.
Short answer is yes. Again, contact me through you'll see my phone number and email. www.azentertainmentlaw.com. I stress again that keep in mind the structure, the bowl of fruit, but I definitely try to create, and I hate to use this word, but symbiosis, synergy between my clients and my, as well as the contacts that I have in the industry. That, again, I think is a big thing to look for in a entertainment law attorney.
Yep.
Is this person immersed in the industry? And if you look at my if you look at my website, you see that I am. I mean, it's what I do. It's what I teach. It's my law practice. It's my production company. It's what I teach. I'm on boards of artistic organizations. So that's very important to look for.
Right.
Regarding entertainment law representation.
Well, that's a very good question. And if we don't have any more at the moment, I think the phone's still ringing.
Just go ahead. Let's just take a break.
Let's take a break. We'll take some more calls here, and we'll be right back to answer your questions in a minute.
Are you experiencing computer problems? Is your computer running slow? Bogged down with viruses and spyware? You need a reliable and knowledgeable, trustworthy computer service company. Contact Computers, Networks, and More, located in Santan Valley. Get your computer or laptop running in top condition by a certified technician with 20-plus years experience and beta tester from Microsoft. Computers, Networks, and More provides repairs and solutions to any computer-related issue, whether it's software, installation, troubleshooting, updates, or tune-ups. You can trust Computers, Networks, and More. Contact Jeff Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. to schedule an appointment. We can have you up and running quickly, usually within 48 hours. Located in Santan Valley. Computers, Networks, and More. We're here for you. Contact Jeff at 480-729-8899. That's 480-729-8899.
Our family pets are such a big part of our lives. That's why Kelly's Critter Clips of Queen Creek and Sun Lakes has been providing pet grooming services for over 10 years. Your dog's comfort is very important to us, so we take the time to treat your pet with care, love, and professional attention it deserves. We welcome any size and breed and feature shampoo and conditioning, styling, flea and tick dips, ear cleaning, nail trimming, and so many other services that will leave your pet looking good and smelling good and feeling great, all at an affordable price. Located in Queen Creek and Sun Lakes, call now for an appointment, 480-655-5066. Kelly's Critter Clips. When you visit Hill Family Dentistry in Santan Valley, Dentist Dr. Tim Hill provides each patient with personalized, gentle care that you deserve. Our entire team is dedicated to providing you and your family with services that will make you smile. With a full range of general, cosmetic, and specialty dentistry services that will keep you and your family smiling. Our commitment to our community is to provide outstanding oral health. Hill Family Dentistry is located on 36359 Gansell Road in Santan Valley, diagonally across from Banner Ironwood Hospital. Evening and weekend appointments available. We accept most insurances and have in-office policies available for non-insured. Contact us today at 480-588-8127. Hill Family Dentistry.
And we're back. This is the CAC Live radio show. This is CAC Live radio show on CAClive.com.
That was a dramatic entrance.
Yes. It energized me, Joe. We're here with special guest Stephen Nebgim. He is an entertainment law attorney from Arizona. And I'm Dan Bush. I'm the guest host today, filling in for Tom DiCamillo, who is out of state, and Joe Carreiro, of course, our own Joe. We wouldn't be doing this without Joe, so we're happy he's here as well. And we're going to talk a little bit more with our special guest, Stephen Nebgim, about the entertainment law course that Central Arizona College offers as part of the EIT, or Entertainment Industry Technology Program. And we've had a lot of great calls and a lot of good questions that are pouring in, and we hope to keep that coming. But something I'd like to mention here is we only have Stephen on the air here for an hour today. And if you'd really like to pick his brain and get all of your questions answered, why not sign up for the entertainment law course at Central Arizona College? Then you get
That's a great idea.
For multiple hours a week for an entire semester. And he offers a very unique incentive to students who sign up and take his entertainment law class. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, in addition to obviously getting the benefit of the class, on an informal basis, not as your official attorney or anything, but I offer, free informal counsel on your projects or issues that come up, and you can come and talk to me without having to pay. Well, my normal hourly rate is $300 an hour. So
you may have a lot of people sign up for the class and just not show in order to come in and chat with the.
But you see, if you show up, you learn all of this, and
that's right.
But if you think about it, the low cost of tuition that Central Arizona College has, and then you weigh that against the $300 per hour savings that you are recouping just taking the class and picking an attorney's brain for several hours a week for 16 weeks out of the year, that's a huge benefit that a lot of people don't realize. And I understand that many artists and performers and writers, whether it's songwriting or screenwriting, they want to be involved with the art. They're not so interested in the business side. But as an artist, you have to understand the business side in order to compete in today's business, in today's market. If you go into it as just a creative mind, you're going to get screwed over. That's just the bottom line. You have to protect yourself. You have to protect your assets, your intellectual property, and you have to have an attorney on your side in order to, who knows all of those ins and outs, who can actually represent you. And a really good way to start that process is getting educated, because one of the reasons why Central Arizona College offers the Entertainment Industry Technology Program is because there, up until recently, and even recently, there are not many options for performers and musicians and artistic creators to get educated on these matters, and they have to make these mistakes themselves in order to progress and grow in their careers. And now you don't have to go that way anymore. Now you don't have to make all those mistakes yourself. We have a question.
Penny from Phoenix says, if I take your class, is there a conflict of interest with you representing me? I'm already in films but need new representation.
That's a good question. That's a very good question.
And it's not so much a conflict of interest. It's just that I refrain from representing students. Once I will talk to you informally as much as you want, but as long as you're a student, the appearance of impropriety and things like that, I'm not so sure it's a direct conflict of interest, but it doesn't look right. So I would need to wait until you certainly were out of my course, and then even depending upon your status as a student at the school, we would. But again, on an informal basis, I'm more than willing to talk to you and help give you a lot of good information.
So take the class, get as much knowledge as you can,
Then
and then retain Stephen's services afterward.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. That's a good question. So let's talk about the three big topics in entertainment law right now. And I'm sure you cover these in your entertainment law course, but because the landscape is constantly changing, we have these big issues going on in the music business right now. So do you care to talk a little bit about those three? And we can start with the one you mentioned before. Does a download constitute as a sale or a license? And if you could explain what those differences are and how that affects everybody involved, all the way from the producers and the publishers all the way down to the consumers.
Right. Consumers, it doesn't really affect too much because they'll pay the same price whether it's considered a sale or a download. Now, having said that, once the final determination is made by the courts, that could very well change the price because the market and the record companies might adjust the price accordingly. So anyway, the issue is as the basic business model of the record industry has eroded so fast that you can see it literally day to day. Imagine a river bank. I mean, you can see every day, not come back 6 months later and you see a little. Every day there's chunks falling away from it. And the biggest and obvious is there's no more record sales.
Right.
Okay.
People are downloading songs now, not records.
And I'll never forget John Lennon saying, and I thought it was heresy at the time, I hate albums, I want singles, and what? You gave me Sgt. Pepper and you only just want to do singles? So anyway, but now, of course, that's the exact point.
Right.
You don't have to pay to get 12 songs when you only wanted one or two songs out of that, from that artist. So many people, again, with internet, all of the technological advances and everything, nobody buys albums.
You know what that really
CDs.
means? All the B-side tracks are just going to disappear.
Yeah, there won't be any.
Or the artists are going to have to step up and stop making filler songs. They're going to have to make hit singles every single time. So the pressure's on, guys. The pressure's on.
I mean, really. And so as record sales have, obviously fallen away, people are downloading. Now, the reason this is a big deal is that an artist gets a royalty for what he sells for a record company. Pretty obvious. Now, if it's a sale, he gets 12% of whatever that sale price is.
Okay.
If it's a download, he gets 50%. Oh, excuse me.
If it's a license.
Licensed.
Right,
If
if
it's
it's a license.
license, he gets 50% of that fee. Okay? Now, that obviously starts to generate lots of money.
So a lot of artists now are saying, that wasn't a sale, that was a license. So when
Correct.
someone downloaded that track off iTunes, we were licensing that song to them, much like software is licensed to the consumer.
Correct.
When you purchase software like Adobe Photoshop or Pro Tools, you're not actually buying software, you're purchasing a license to use it. And so artists wanting that bigger piece of that pie, wanting that full 50%, are then saying, no, these downloads are licenses, not sales.
That's their argument.
Right.
Well, obviously, the recording companies are saying, no, it's a sale. Those people buy it and they keep it. That's a sale, Anyway, the determination of that is going to be very important and literally, again, worth millions of dollars. Now, Eminem was one of the ones who brought it and then he has made a settlement, and so it still hasn't been adjudicated yet.
Okay.
So it's still out there.
Right.
Okay. So that is, and you had mentioned the entertainment industry, but these three things are kind of specific to the music industry, although one of them is, one of them does have a little bit of implications across the board for creative people.
Right.
So anyway, the first one that we've talked about is this issue between a license and a sale.
Right.
That's going to have huge ramifications for the record industry.
And before we get into the next two, let's. Do we have another call? Another question?
Yes, we do.
All right, let's address that real quick.
Jim from Cape Cod just got a letter from the RIAA regarding they're suing me because of massive downloads. Do you represent people like me?
Wow.
Short answer is I don't, because I don't do litigation, but I know who does. And so if you want to contact me, and again, if you're in
Cape Cod?
Well, Massachusetts. So I might think of somebody, obviously, who's in Massachusetts.
Back east.
Yeah.
I'm licensed in New York, New Jersey, and Arizona. But, again, for litigation, you would need to be licensed in that state.
Yeah.
But I could certainly try and help you.
I have a question for you.
That'd be a scary letter to get, too.
I know people that have gotten cease and assists,
Yes.
Yeah.
but not, or cease and desist, whatever they call it, but not actual suits.
Well, he might have ignored it.
Yeah, maybe so. My question is, I have an interesting one here that when we have artists in, mainstream artists, let's say I just had the Pointer Sisters in, and they'll, on the air, sing their songs. But now I can't put that video on YouTube because I get nailed for it, and it puts points against my account. But these are the actual artists singing their own songs. What do you, is that a real? And I've sent in forms and explanations and disputed, and I never win.
This is the part where you tell Joe what your retainer is. No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Well,
and it's not I
No,
just
that's
don't
a
want
very good question.
my YouTube channel. I don't want to get shut down.
Right, that's
but
a good question.
It's it's like
YouTube will flag it, too.
You have had and let's just use.
we have a lot of big bands
Yeah.
that come through.
And then you've attempted to put that on YouTube,
Well,
and they'll say,
during the show they'll go ahead and sing. Always, hey, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Sing. If it sticks, sing.
We are
sing,
fam-
babe.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they'll sing this in studio, and then when I put it in YouTube, it gets banned. It gets dinged. And
but
now
who's dinging it?
YouTube, because they have computer-generated, recognized some kind of analyzers that go through and go, yep, that sticks, or yes, that's the
I
Pointer
might be able
Sisters,
to
or yes,
add
that's...
something to this, and because I've recently experienced the similar thing with my own music. And what happens is
I even got dinged for so much for Sirius doing a couple of those songs.
the Mario theme.
Yes, that's right.
Well, the
Sounds funny, but
I know that the YouTube audio analyzer, the way it works is it basically tries to pair the soundtrack of a video with a database of copyrighted content. And the reason they do it is to monetize that by placing ads on those videos. And then when someone watches the video and places the ad, a portion of that revenue then goes to the artists, and they're monetizing it that way. Because, for instance, I have some music videos on YouTube that I've written myself, and I own all 100% of the intellectual property. And my music videos that I placed on there myself got flagged, and they said, you have posted copyrighted content. And I'm like, I know, it's mine. And they say you don't have to change anything, just know that you need to review our terms of service, and we're going to be placing ads on your video and monetizing it. Well, I didn't have a say in that, but it turns out that my digital distributor, who I did tell them that they can do that, they added my songs to the database that YouTube keeps, and so now, because I gave my digital distributor that permission to do that, the monetization from the airplay or the ad clicks from that music video, a portion of those end up going back into my pocket. And that's the way I've come to understand it. But it goes beyond just monetization. I mean, there are there are issues with copyright as well, especially on YouTube, because basically you're publicly broadcasting copyrighted material.
And
that Stephen can attest to more than
and
me.
my big problem is I have to watch how often I upload these, because when I started my YouTube channel, and I started a new one when we went to high def, I started a new one so I could get rid of all the crappy videos, and so I uploaded like 140 videos all at once. 60 of them got dinged and they shut me down.
Wow.
It wasn't okay. Well, let's throw some ads on your, on your stuff. They just said you are a repeat offender.
Yeah.
You're done
with the bulk upload.
So now I've got to be like, okay, let me sneak one in right here, and boy, they always catch it too. And a lot of times they're the original artists doing their own stuff.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me the most.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that should be, I would think, and Stephen can testify to this more so than me because I'm by no means an attorney, but wouldn't that qualify in the same realm as radio stations playing recordings? I mean, if it's a public performance, so there are royalties that would need to get distributed, but you pay a subscription to ASCAP or BMI or CSAC or something
a lot of the artists can't. First of all, from what I understand, a lot of the artists can't even tell you, yeah, you can do that, because it's not up to them anymore.
Right.
And that's where I think it falls into the problem. The Pointer Sisters can say, yeah, you can, let's do I Will Survive, and whatever.
But the music publisher is the
or
one.
I'm just making I don't think they sing that, but
right.
No, but We Are Family or whatever.
Right.
Whatever the one that was that they, I mean, they had a bunch of hits, but I mean that is the thing in a different context, but. I have a client who's doing something for the National Hockey League, and we had to go over to Coyotes Arena, Jobbing Arena, whatever. And even to me as an attorney, it was an eye-opener on how many people we had to negotiate with and get permission regarding rights holders.
It's amazing, isn't it?
There was like a rights holder for the view of the bowl.
Wow.
We couldn't do things without showing the crowd in the bowl of the stadium type thing.
Everybody wants their piece.
It was unbelievable. Even to me as an attorney, it was. I mean, I was expecting that. Okay, NHL, Jobbing Arena, da 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 da. But it started to be da 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 da.
But you didn't know you'd have to get permission to take a picture of the hot dog guy walking around.
Well, again, I knew that, but it was just a lot. It was just that I didn't think that they had divided it up quite that much.
Wow.
I mean, like somebody had the floor, and somebody had the bowl, and somebody had the Ring of Honor kind of stuff, and it was amazing, even to me as an attorney.
Wow. Well, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the CAClive radio show on CAClive.com. I'm special guest Dan Bush, professor of recording engineering at Central Arizona College. We're here with Joe Carreiro, as always, and our special guest, Stephen Nebgim, an entertainment law attorney. And Stephen, why don't you tell students that what can they expect if they take your entertainment law class at Central Arizona College? I know there's this underlying intimidation when you say the word law, and if it's called entertainment law, people say, oh, it's going to be boring and it's going to be hard. And I want to put their fears to rest, because we've had a lot of questions from listeners today, and a lot of these types of concepts are discussed in this class. So if you had to tell students what can they expect when they take the course, what would you say to them, potential students?
It's going to be boring and hard. No. Actually, I think truly it'll be very, very interesting. I bring a lot of war stories to the classroom and a lot of...
but names have been changed.
Yes.
Names have been changed to protect you.
And even then, sometimes I name names. So.
All right.
But no, the bigger thing is I'm not going to be trying to turn these students into attorneys. It's more of be aware of the importance of intellectual property. Be aware of the factors and you should form a business. Be aware of how you're going to raise money. It's so easy to cross the line into the improper solicitation of securities. I've got clients right now who just posted a couple sentences on the internet, and boom, boom.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, boom.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, one guy put a couple lines on an internet, and again, without naming names. There's a reason why it's called the World Wide Web. And this was just out in the United States. He's in Arizona, California, whatever. And somebody in Pennsylvania saw it, not Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and as part of that person's due diligence, just called up the Pennsylvania Securities Commission. Hey, have you heard anything about this? No, we haven't. And that started the ball rolling.
But give me an example. I mean, without mentioning names, give me an example of what you're talking about, like what somebody could say.
Well, again, even the language was pretty innocuous. Hey, give us a call, and we are offering units, and so on and so forth. The bigger point is that the guy hadn't been the person who put these little sentences didn't have his ducks in a row before he could put those little sentences up. So he put these little sentences
So he's soliciting
up.
investment.
Is
what
he's saying,
they were
hey, we're offering units of investment in this film.
Oh, gotcha.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Call us up. Well, they called up and they didn't have their ducks in a row.
Oh, man.
And the Pennsylvania Corporation Commission came down on them. And then, guess what? Pennsylvania called California.
Oh, no.
And now he's doing stuff with California.
I think he's working over at Quick Trip right over here on Highway now.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
And then I had another client, very, very similar thing. Just put a couple lines on the internet, but he didn't have his ducks in a row, and bam.
Yeah. It's a lot of liability. Now,
So anyway, back to the course. Try to just give some overview. This particular course, emphasis on music. So we look at band agreements, recording agreements, music publishing agreements. Because really, do understand, as a musical artist, record sales, nada. No more.
Right.
Done. Even downloads, all that kind of stuff. The way you're going to make your money is from touring and everything associated with touring, merchandising,
Right. Right.
And then music publishing. I mean, you must control, and again, if you're not a songwriter in this day and age, you're really at a disadvantage.
Is this why artists have no problem now putting their music up on the internet for free for people to listen to, so they get hooked on them, so when they tour around, they go and see them?
Right.
There's
Right.
really no money anymore in making and selling the music.
No.
So is
Now
Warehouse Entertainment and companies like that, are they going to feel the deep impact and end up folding because of it? Or
Well, you see that going on, yes. I mean, there's a reason why there's no more Tower Records and no more Coconuts and no
Wow.
more,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly why. And that's why the only place you can really go buy a CD anymore is at a Walmart or
Amazon.
or Amazon or and just look at the Billboard ratings every week. I mean, in my day and age, now of course it was completely different on so many levels, but the biggest point was in the old days they would count something as how many units shipped,
Right.
not how many units sold. So when they instituted SoundScan, well, that cut that right off.
Right.
But even taking into account that, I mean, in the last, I always look, and I mean, you can name on one hand the people who have cracked the number one selling record, and they've had more than 100,000 units sold.
Right.
You can count on one hand. It's like 50,000 units, number one single.
oh my god,
Used to be 1 million.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Now you'll see, number one Billboard R&B single, 50,000 units.
Yep. So we talked about one of those big topics, the download. Does that mean a sale or a license? There's two other big topics that you're going to cover in your course as well, I'm sure. And one of them is the Section 203 copyright code regarding licensing renewals. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and why that's such a big deal?
Yeah, and I see we're maybe getting tight, so I'll try to keep it quick.
The Cliff Note version.
Yeah, so Section 203 is in the Copyright Code. It was added in 1975, and Section 203 allows a person who has given a grant of a license of his intellectual property, after 35 years, he can get it back if he follows a couple steps. Okay? He can get it back. Wow. That went into effect January 1st, 1978. 35 years, January 1st, 2013. So, one of the requirements is you must give notice at least 2 years. You can give it up to as much as 10 years in advance, but you must give it 2 years in advance. January 1st, 2011 was 2 years before January 1st, and so last year and this year, all of these people are given notices.
Is there a lot?
Huh?
Is there a lot?
Yes. I mean, let's just talk 1978. Let's just talk about the records of 1978. I mean, Off the Wall. And that goes back to Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why all these 70s artists are touring again?
There's probably a little bit, I mean, not to be facetious, there's probably a little bit.
And I love
to
the
that.
70s artists.
Yeah, these guys are all getting that stuff back.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the second part of the perfect storm to the record industry. Download versus a license, the continuing encroach of technology, and then Section 203. You mean what I truly did have a little bit of money from? Thriller? You're taking Thriller away from me? No, don't take Thriller away.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Yes. And it's going to hit the music industry particularly hard because it only if it's a work for hire, you're outside that. Now, in the motion picture industry, it's long been taken that everything that you do regarding the motion picture is work for hire. So that there's not going to be too many people coming out of the woodwork to try and get their film back. Believe me, there'll be people that try.
Yeah.
But in the music industry, it's long been taken, no way. I mean, you do not tell Mick Jagger and Keith Richards to show up at the studio at 9, and then you hand them and says, hey, write a song about satisfaction, and they punch out at 5 o'clock.
Right.
No. Not in one day
Yeah.
of Mick Jagger's life has that ever happened, let alone, come on.
Yeah.
And so if it's not work for hire, that means they retain that ability. And so all of the stuff, and it rolls over every year. So in 1982, guess what comes out? Thriller. Guess what's in the meantime? Dark Side of the Moon, Hotel California. I mean, these are all 1970.
Yeah, right.
And everybody's going to
79.
be coming to get their entitlement back. And so whoever has the rights currently may lose them. And so that's
So it's a
hit
good
the
and
record
bad
company.
thing.
It's going to hit the record companies pretty hard.
It's good for artists.
It's good for the artists for sure.
Yeah, it's bad for the record.
Especially the artists that have blown all their cash.
Yeah.
yeah, really. I mean, it's just a whole new payday.
So we got 2 minutes left.
Okay,
The third item is the performer royalty versus performance royalty.
Right, and so just real quick, there is a performance royalty with part of copyright. If I write a song, I'm the only guy who can perform that song, and that goes to songwriters, okay? Now, the problem is Frank Sinatra didn't write his songs, but he is the reason why in the wee small hours and the wee whatever it is, in New York, New York, he didn't write New York, New York, but, he made New York, New York, right? Well, in the old days, it was okay because he would get record sales, and he'd be selling records. Well, oops, that part of the business model has fallen on the side. So now there's a movement to get a performer's royalty.
Right.
Not a performance royalty.
A performer.
A performer's, and it's led by Nancy Sinatra. And so every time that Frank would sing something on the radio, he, for singing it, would get a royalty. Now, interesting, Clear Channel has kind of crossed the line. They made a deal with Tracy Underwood, and they will do, and it's basically a performer's royalty. Every time Tracy Underwood sings, she will get whatever that song is. Doesn't matter. The performance royalty will still flow out, but she, in addition, will get a penny or two for every time that song that she sings, a performer's royalty.
Regardless of whether or not she wrote it. If she performed it, she's getting a royalty now.
Correct.
Where in the past that hasn't been the case.
Correct.
So that's a big deal too.
Is that a penny or two when she performs it, or is that a
every time
penny
there's a
or
public
two?
performance? So
That's
if it's
not
played,
a penny or two based on how many people are in the Coliseum and how many people. There's not a formula there. It's just a penny or two.
Well,
There's
Fair.
there's a
isn't it-
certain
No,
percentage of the pie.
And it all depends on how that flows.
I mean, if you sing to 1 million people, it's different than singing to a room of 15.
Well, when you play a song on the radio, that's a public performance.
But it depends how many people are listening to that station in order how much
Is
you have
the
to pay
measure
for
of-
royalties.
Right.
Right.
Right?
So, but not to get lost for the forest for the trees, we don't have that performer's royalty right now. So with Tracy Underwood, that was a deal made with Clear Channel.
Gotcha.
And Clear Channel.
That was a
and
private
them,
deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we don't know what they,
But now people heard of this deal, and they're all saying, well, wait a minute.
So they can do private deals then.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Because there's
Yeah,
no,
why
there's
not?
no
It's
statutory
their stuff, right?
There's no statutory right for this, as compared to mechanical royalty. Every time you make your own version of a song, you have to pay Harry Fox 8 cents, right?
Right.
Or BMI. Basically, at the end of the day, it's about 9 cents a pop every time. It's a 9 cents for Harry Fox, by the way, too. And that's not that these don't tie in. It's just coincidence.
Yeah.
But roughly, it's about 7 to 9 cents every time your song, as an author, your song gets played. So and then all those hits go into a pool.
Yeah.
So basically, if a performer's royalty were established, it would be something along those same lines.
Right.
Every time Tracy Underwood, and if Tracy Underwood played 100,000 times a song of just Tracy, boom. And that would go to some agency that does it, like ASCAP and BMI and Harry Fox.
Yep.
And so we would all of a sudden have a performer's royalty
Gotcha.
society.
The money's getting split.
Something like that.
Money's getting split a lot of different ways. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank Stephen Nebgim, the entertainment law attorney, for joining us today and educating us on the ins and outs of all of the intricacies of the entertainment business legal system and all of the upcoming things you could learn about in the entertainment law class at Central Arizona College. Stay tuned. The Pac West show is coming up next. And for Tom DiCamillo, for Joe Carreiro, I am Dan Bush from Central Arizona College. You've just listened to CAClive. See you next week.
Are you ready to start taking control of your future and maximize your earning potential? Central Arizona College has smaller class sizes and personalized attention to help you compete in today's tough job market. CAC now serves Santan Valley